mix.
So
But
what's this one?
this is, the top,
So this is all for the undercoat then?
right. It's mostly flesh, a little bit of leather, a lot more natural wood, little tiny bit of wine, little matte white, and a little bit of Oxford blue, which cools the flesh tone down.
Yeah.
And you can use that, to simulate exhaustion or cold or, Northern European skin tones.
All right.
It really takes the peachiness out of the color. The undercoat will determine, because I brushed these out so thin, the undercoat will determine the
Thank you.
resulting tone of the skin.
yeah.
So if you want to do somebody a little darker complected, you use a darker undercoat.
And you use the natural wood, it sounds like, as a darkening? Or
The natural wood and the blue.
And the blue, oh, okay.
Santa Ana here probably has a little more of the natural wood, just to change his
Yeah.
skin tone.
I'm currently doing the hands are only the part visible, but I'm doing an Islamic, 11th century Islamic warrior, and I got to do the hands, and I wanted to try and figure. I've never done darkened skin tones.
When I do African skin tones, I use like a brick red undercoat.
Okay.
That's interesting, yeah.
And a little differences on the oil colors. But that demonstration's for another day.
Okay.
If you want a 5 o'clock shadow, a really pronounced 5 o'clock shadow, I'll also do that in the enamels, just by adding more blue to the flesh mixture. Sort of a pre-shading. Some of it will be visible through the oil paint, so it'll be real subtle.
Interesting, yeah.
Now this technique I got from Historical Miniature Magazine. It was written, article was written by Ron Souza when I first wanted to work with oils, and it's pretty much his method. I've changed some of the paint colors to suit my own tastes, but it's one of the early issues of campaign or military history. No,
Military miniatures.
miniature. Sorry. Old age, too many paint food.
That's my story.
This technique uses a lot of brushes, just because I don't like to mix the blending brushes, the highlights and shadows, because you'll always get a speck of paint in there that's going to ruin the area you're working with. So what I've got here is Mars Brown, Flesh Tint, Jaune Brillant, Burnt Umber, Cadmium Red, Alizarin Crimson, titanium white, and Payne's gray. And the first shadow layer is going to be flesh tint and a little bit of Mars brown.
What's the thinner you're using?
Turpenoid?
Just turpenoid?
Yeah, too.
I don't really use it as a thinner, mostly just to clean the brushes off,
Okay.
because I'm going to put it practically full strength right on the face.
Question,
Uh-huh.
is this just for faces for large scale figures or for like 54 millimeter too?
Steve uses this technique for small scale figures.
Okay,
Uh,
all right.
Pretty much the same.
I have a little, I find it a little less easy to control on the smaller figures, so I usually do those in
Okay, no, I
Humboldt.
was just curious because of all the paint you're laying out for this little face.
On a smaller scale, though, you have more extremes, like you darken.
Okay,
The shadows are darker.
yeah.
And have more highlight on a smaller figure.
So this is a really light for a shadow color, but we're going to get darker in later stages. So I'm doing the inside of the eye sockets, and you don't have to be tidy here, just kind of slop it on. After a while this is going to look like kabuki makeup, but then when you start to blend it magically, it's going to start to look realistic. Doing the eye sockets a little ways down the sides of the nose. This is Julius Caesar, and he's got kind of a light bulb shaped head. So I'm going to put a little more shadow in the temples.
Hey, Randy, where do you buy your brushes now?
Dick Blick or Cheap Joe's, whoever's got the best price at the moment.
Jerry's Artarama.
Pardon me?
Jerry's Artarama.
I haven't,
They got some good prices.
do they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big sauce.
I haven't tried them.
good prices.
So I ordered some acrylics from them. It's been on back order for a month.
This is the only shadow color I'm going to use for the cheeks, because you don't want too deep a shadow there unless it's, you know, a characteristic of the face you happen to be painting. Like Joseph Cotton or somebody like that. And if this does look too dark, I can always mitigate it by brushing some of it in, blending some of it away. Cheeks, underside of the nose. The nasolabial fold, which is this thing.
Yeah.
Under the lower lip. And under the jaw. He's got some pretty pronounced neck muscles here too, so shade under those. And I'll take a dry brush. Use this one. This is a filbert, and brush most of that off, much as I can. This also helps for it to dry matter eventually. You don't want to ever clean the brushes you're using to remove the paint until the end.
Yeah.
And I like to use a different set for the highlights and the shadows. I think I said that already. What you're doing, in effect, rather than applying paint, is staining the undercoat. So you have a very, very thin layer of paint. And that's the first step.